Welcome out to the Studio 5 Plaza. So maybe it didn't happen this year, but there is a garden movement so strong, and it does take a little bit of planning, that you are right on track to grow and gather a cutting garden for spring 2026. We are approaching that garden dream mode at the end of every season, where we're reflecting on what went well, anticipating what we want next. My next guest is here to encourage you toward a backyard that serves as your own personal flower market, bursting with blooms that you can clip and arrange all season long. Julie Hall is a farmer, a florist, and president of the Utah Flower Market. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So we think of gardening in our own space, and we naturally think of fruits, maybe veggies, but you're saying flowers.
Yes, I totally started as a vegetable gardener, and I didn't think I was really allowed to grow flowers.
You're like zucchini only.
Yes,
yeah.
You know, I thought I had to grow things that I could eat and can, but I don't like canning, and I don't want to have to do that. But I discovered that flowers were actually really beneficial for your vegetable garden. So that's how I started, is I put in a few rows to bring in those beneficial pollinators and beneficial insects. And then it made me so happy, and I had so many flowers, and I was giving them to neighbors, and it created community and connection. That really all I grow now is flowers. I have 3 tomato plants, and that's it.
And you eat them, not can them.
Right.
I love that you pointed to connection.
Yes.
And I think most of all, I love that you just used the simple word happy. I have a handful of girlfriends who have done this over the last several years, created a cutting garden just for their own joy and pleasure.
Yes.
And are you thrilled by that movement?
I totally am, because we need little moments of happiness in our lives, right?
Yeah.
The world can be hard sometimes, but when you have these things that are growing and you're nurturing them, and you're seeing this progress, and you're amazed by what you can grow in your own garden, and it just is a moment of beauty.
And we live in such an efficient society right now. Like it's a get it done, check the box. I know it's always been that way to some extent, but where things are more immediate, as in I need something, I order something, it's on my doorstep 2 hours later. Something about taking the time to create with your hands and your sweat and your effort something lovely just because, I think that feels like a dose of something we all need.
And then to see the fruits of your labor and be able to share that with other people and bring it into your home. It's amazing.
What are some of your favorite varieties, Julie, to grow in Utah specifically?
Oh, so I love these dahlias. Dahlias are one of my favorite because there's so many different varieties. This one's called Holly Hill Orange Ice.
Wow.
They all have really fun names, and they're just showstoppers. They're incredible.
This looks hand-painted. This looks
I know. Isn't that just
fake.
Incredible with that little touch of orange in the middle?
Okay, so dahlias made your list?
Dahlias, I love Lysianthus. These are new to me. I didn't know anything about them before becoming a flower farmer.
How delicate.
They take about 9 months to grow, so it's like having a baby.
Oh no.
You have to start them really early, but they are actually native to North America.
Oh.
They're a beautiful flower, and they last, like out of water, they do fine. So they're great for events and weddings.
Yes.
But they can last like 10 days.
Wow.
You can get really good base life out of those.
Okay.
I also love zinnias. They're just so easy to grow. They're abundant. They cut and come again, so you keep cutting them. They keep blooming.
Yeah.
So you don't have to feel bad about bringing them inside and sharing them with people, because it will just make your plants more productive.
What else is on our working table?
So we also have cosmos. These ones are apricotta cosmos, and they have this really beautiful coloring.
Ooh, movement too, lots of movement.
Yeah, and these are cosmos too over here.
Okay.
They are also cut and come again, really easy to grow. They like poor soil, so if you have a spot that's not great, put some cosmos there.
Okay, what's here?
This is celosia. And celosia is just a really fun texture, all of these really soft colors.
You know when the filler flower is that beautiful, you're onto something great,
And you can also dry it and use it for wreaths.
Oh, sure,
which is really fun.
Okay.
I also have these echinacea cones, which are just echinacea that have lost their petals, but the texture is fun, the color's really fun. They're a great little texture to add to
interest piece in the vase, and what's here?
And this is actually mountain mint. You can kind of smell it. It's got a nice minty smell, and I just love having a foliage that has some scent. I love using any kind of herb in my bouquets.
Let's talk harvesting. When is the best time to do that, and what are your best tips to make it successful?
So almost across the board, you're going to want to harvest early in the morning. That's when the plants are really hydrated. So they're not going to get wimpy on you when you cut them. If you cut them in the middle of the afternoon, they tend to droop, right? So you're going to want to harvest them early in the morning. or in the cool of the evening. But that's when I want to be out too. I don't want to be harvesting.
Yeah, we are one with our flowers in that moment.
Yep.
What tools are you using to make that helpful?
I love these just simple snips. You can get these on Amazon.
Yeah.
You can use any kind of scissors. The most important thing is making sure that they're clean. You're harvesting directly into water, so I'm cutting these really long, and then I'm putting them directly into the bucket. And the water should be as clean as you would want to drink.
Oh, you've got standards.
Well, the problem is that if it's dirty at all, it's going to clog your stem. So you want a clean bucket, clean vase, put it in there, clean snips.
Is that true for all flowers,
yes,
even the ones I get from the...
Yes, it will make them so much healthier and last a lot longer if you make sure the water is really clean. Yeah.
She's given us our marching orders and they have been heard.
I don't always do that, but
side PS.
That is the ideal that will help them last the longest.
I would be scissor scared. Like, when do I know it's time to cut?
Right, so every flower is a little bit different. But a flower like this, the zinnia, you actually want it to be really fully developed. You can test the stem. If the stem is firm, that means it's ready.
Okay.
If you pull it too soon, the stem will be really floppy.
Well, this might be a dumb question, but is it like when I take my casserole out of the oven, it keeps cooking for a minute, or once I cut it, is it donesy?
It really depends on the flower.
Okay.
Some flowers will continue to open. So like these cosmos, the best one on here is probably actually these that are just starting to open.
Yeah.
If they get too open and they get pollinated, that's the signal to start making seed.
Okay.
And so they'll start dropping their petals. So if you can get them before the bees get them, that's helpful too.
Beat the bees.
Yeah.
Okay. And then growing is one thing, harvesting another. Then there's arranging.
Yeah.
And you're good at all of these steps, which is why you're perfect for this conversation. But what are your best tips for arranging a bouquet?
So, yeah, I love to make wrapped bouquets. This is an example right here.
See, giving this to your neighbor, you'd be best friends forever.
Yeah,
and you can do that.
I make so many wrapped bouquets every week, so it's really fun. It's easy, it's quick.
Yeah.
The trick is to kind of choose a color scheme. So you can see that I've chosen kind of peaches and pinks and the chartreuse color.
How many colors within that palette, though?
I usually do 3, but
3 or 4.
It just depends on you. You know, you can do a real bright, colorful bouquet.
Yeah.
Or if you want something that's more understated.
But you're working within a defined palette, which is helpful.
And then I want a variety of things. So I want a focal flower, I want some supporting flowers, I want some filler, some fun texture, and some greenery.
So this combined, strategically, thoughtfully laid out, makes a really pretty grouping.
Yeah, and I usually kind of start with my fillers around my focal flower.
Yeah.
To give it a little space so it doesn't all clump together.
Okay.
And then I'm going to start layering in, and I just twist and kind of layer it in at an angle and twist.
When does height become part of the equation? Like, are you wanting them to be?
It really depends. So sometimes with these spikes, I'll pull them up a little bit, so there's a little bit of height. If you have like snapdragons or something, you might want them to be up a little bit higher.
Lean into the drama of the flower.
Yeah, do what the flower does. So, I mean, these are gorgeous. I don't want them to be hidden.
Okay.
Right, and they have these pretty little buds on them.
Yeah.
So I just keep adding
Look at that. And then are you binding at the bottom?
Yeah, so I will use a rubber band to bind it all together.
Okay.
And with these cosmos, it's fun to have them a little bit floaty, like above, you know?
And I reference movement. That often catches my eye in a natural garden or in a bouquet like this, is if the flowers are kind of shaped in a way that kind of dances.
Yeah, you want a bouquet that's gonna make you want to touch it, right?
Okay.
Like there's something about it that's like, or to smell it, right?
Yeah.
And then I finish with my greenery to just kind of buffer the edges and give it a nice backdrop.
See, just like that. And just like that is how it happens. You have a boutique kind of class coming up.
Yeah, so I'm teaching a class at the Alpine Workshop on August 23rd. That's all going to be just hands-on making our own wrapped bouquets.
Yes, looking at the art of it, the eye of it.
Yep, and I'll show you how to wrap them. I'll give you all the details on what products we use. I'll tell you about the stage of harvest for everything that's in bloom. And it's peak season, so we're going to have some beautiful flowers
to work with and play with. How do we sign up for that?
So you just go to alpineworkshop.co. And you can find all the classes available there.
Well, we love being inspired by you and your friends. Julie, thank you so much.
Yes,
well done. We'll post a link to that class on our website if you want to check it out.